It's the fight of the century, the unstoppable force versus the immovable object, a battle that could make or break a fighter's legacy. Whatever name you give it, one thing is undeniable. Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev is one of the biggest fights the UFC can possibly make. Not just that, but it has the potential to become one of the highest-grossing bouts in the history of the sport, following the steam train of a career these fighters have had in the UFC. And yes, I know what you're all asking. Who will win? Well, let's break it down. First, let's start with the current lightweight champion, Islam Makhachev. Islam has repeatedly proven himself inside the octagon, from submitting arguably the best grappler in the sport, Charles Oliveira, to finishing Alexander Volkanovski with a clean first-round head kick. There's no doubt, Islam is a threat both on the ground and on the feet. So let's look at the advantages Islam brings into a fight with Ilia Topuria. First, his grappling pedigree. Islam is a seasoned grappler, having trained under the watchful eye of Khabib Nurmagomedov, the undefeated former lightweight champion, and Umar Nurmagomedov, the current #1 contender at bantamweight. These are two fighters known for their dominance on the mat and pristine ground control. Islam's professional grappling experience spans almost 15 years. That level of deep-rooted experience is not easy to match. Though yes, I understand that Ilia Topuria is no slouch on the ground either. I mean, he has a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt and 8 professional submission wins. However, for this fight to happen, Ilia will have to move up to Islam's weight class. That means Islam will be competing where he's most comfortable, a weight he's trained at, wrestled at, and dominated at for over a decade. Ilia, on the other hand, will open up holes in his own game as he deals with the additional physicality of a heavier opponent. Creating openings, defending takedowns, and scoring from the ground will be significantly more difficult for him with that added weight and pressure. Another key factor is endurance. Ilia Topuria has never made it to the championship rounds in either of his 3 title fights. Islam, on the other hand, has had 5 championship fights and has entered rounds 4 and 5 twice. Now, of course, there's no guarantee this fight even goes that far. We could see an early submission from Islam or a knockout from Ilia. Both are completely possible, but neither of these fighters goes down easily. And if this war drags into the deep waters, I'd be willing to bet on the Makhachev corner looking fresher and more composed. Now let's talk about the disadvantages which Islam has going into a fight with Ilia Topuria. Despite Islam's dominance on the ground and his composure in late rounds, we've seen his vulnerabilities on the feet. Fights against Dustin Poirier and Alexander Volkanovski exposed the fact that Islam can be touched and showed the world that he is just a human. Let's not forget UFC 192, where Adriano Martins knocked out Islam with a well-timed counter-right. That loss haunted Islam for years and served as a blueprint for his future opponents. Pressure him on the feet and you might find cracks. And against Ilia, cracks are all he needs, because one clean shot can turn out your lights. Let's now talk about Ilia, the Spanish sniper, and his advantages coming into the fight. First, his ungodly power and surgical precision. From a brutal 50-42 domination of Josh Emmett to knocking out Max Holloway, a fighter who had never even been dropped, Ilia's hands have proven to be a lethal weapon. His timing and placement leave no room for error. And as we've discussed, Islam does make errors on the feet. But Ilia's greatest weapon may be his mindset. He carries an unwavering belief in himself, a sense of absolute certainty that he will win. In a conversation with Daniel Cormier, Ilia even claimed he would submit Islam with his favorite choke, the Darce. That's not arrogance, that's cold-blooded belief. And that belief fuels his discipline, his training, and his focus. Now, of course, mindset alone won't beat a fighter like Islam Makhachev. But when that mindset is backed by a world-class skill set, it becomes dangerous. Ilia has had a dominant run, but let's also look at where he's struggled. His fight against Jai Herbert stands as a warning sign to him, as it shows his competition where he can mess up. The opening round was competitive, both fighters feinting and finding range. But midway through the round, Jai landed a clean cross followed by a high kick that dropped Ilia to the canvas. This has led some to believe that the right high kick could once again be Ilia's downfall, especially considering Islam used that very technique to finish Volkanovski. Whether Islam chooses to capitalize on this or not remains to be seen, but the vulnerability is there. Let's look at another disadvantage in this fight for Ilia: his size and reach. Islam will enter this fight with both height and reach advantages. This will make it harder for Ilia to close the distance safely, harder to land clean punches, harder to control the clinch, and harder to dictate the rhythm of the fight. Both fighters show significant advantages and disadvantages which they will face if this fight does go through. But let's talk about the most important factor: who will win? This fight is a true clash of styles. Islam Makhachev brings suffocating control, elite grappling, and strategic intelligence. Ilia Topuria brings explosive power, pinpoint striking, and the confidence to finish anyone. Islam's strength is in deciding where the fight takes place, dragging it to the ground, controlling from top, and neutralizing his opponent's weapons. Ilya's threat lies in the chaos, the unpredictability of a clean strike ending the fight in a heartbeat. But Ilya is moving up, possibly even to welterweight, following Islam's recent move in hopes for a title shot against Jack Della Maddalena. He's gaining size I'm not sure he can handle. We've seen him hurt. Islam has the 5-round experience, he has the game plan, and he has the tools to shut Ilya down. Unless Ilya lands something massive early, I believe Islam is the more likely winner in this high-level chess match.